Diving for Glory, episode 29.
Diving. 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 Diving.
What do you think it's called? Diving.
Diving. From glory. Diving. Diving. From glory. Diving for glory.
Diving for Glory, welcome back. Yeah, welcome back, my default Gistas. I am your host, Mr. Pep Corciola. I feel like it's been forever. My co-host, Sir Solomon, with a do.
Been a week.
Hola, yay. It has been very much. We are about to look at Southampton contributing their part into what is turning into a giant Spursy. Valencia away to Girona. Marseille gets a visit. Balotelli gets a visit from his old homies, and a mid-table battle in Italy. Sampdoria, Atalanta. As always, our EPL league review, our Big Four league European reviews, and our Champions League preview review. Also, big news coming out of Madrid today. We'll talk about that. And as always, our prestigious and egregious Default G award section. Done. And as always, our upcoming games. And don't forget, Diving for Glory. We claim to be posting on every Thursday after Champions League. We had to have that episode behind closed doors. We were not allowed to show it per FIFA FFP restrictions.
Due to fans jumping in and abusing us.
Apologies for that if you were dying on to wait for us. But however, we post every Monday on iTunes, YouTube, and Diving for Glory. Champions League weeks we do Thursdays. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Diving for Glory. Hashtag subscribe, like, retweet, do all that. Hit us up on iTunes, rate us please, and let's just jump right into it. Just a cup, jerseys tuck, boots lace. Diving for Glory, let's go. All right. Yeah, man, it's getting down to the nitty gritty. About 8 to 10 games left in every league. Not a lot.
11 in Spain.
Yeah, or roughly. Yeah, it's coming to the end either way, very rapidly. And for some people, that would mean, hey, man, we're going to make top four, or we're going to get relegated, or not. And this was a battle. We'll start you off in the Premier League. Southampton hosting Spurs. Spurs definitely out of.
A few weeks ago, some idiots was talking about how comfortable they were.
With their 7-point lead.
With their 7-point gap between, and still in third place. And now Spurs have managed to wriggle themselves into
very Inter Milan. Like, the one thing that I'll say that's interesting is that my whole argument at that point was, oh, the injuries. And now that they're like fully healthy, since Kane has been back, they've just been tanking, dude.
Dele Alli started in this game too.
He did, didn't he?
So
He's back too.
There was a lot of people back. But integrating players back from injury is part of the game, I guess. And the first half, Spurs had a very, very, very dominant first half. And they took a 1-0 lead through Mr. Harry Kane himself. And it looked like they were going to just move past Southampton. But lately, and against a lot of the bigger clubs, Southampton has been playing really good football lately. And
they served them up in the second half, man.
They served them up. And also, Danny Rose assisted them hugely by fucking up. in the first goal by Mr. Jan Valery. But James Ward motherfucking Prowse.
Yes. That's a long name.
Yes. He just added a new name in there, which is the motherfucking, because he scored a beauty, an absolute stunner of a free kick to win this game and complete what might actually like very important points, because Southampton is one spot out of safety in the relegation battle, and with a result we'll see later, it could have gotten really complicated for Southampton. But as it stands, now they have a 2-point difference between them and the relegation zone.
It's also worth mentioning that Mr. Pochettino was serving the first of his 2-game touchline ban.
Mr. Pochettino.
He sure spent a lot of time on his cell phone. I wonder if he was texting his assistants or...
Somebody wasn't listening.
Exactly.
They're like, you had to be there. You had to be there, dude. This is part of the issue with such a huge dependence on him to motivate this team, and I don't think that with him on the sideline they would get this result, but it has happened a couple of weeks ago against Burnley. But like Diego Simeone, he's one of the few coaches that actually, his presence seems to be what drives his team a lot, and
so
they didn't have it without him.
The narratives are constantly always shifting in football depending on the time of year. And so, to rewind this to the beginning of the year, as I had texted you over the weekend, you think about, hey, they didn't sign any players. I mean, I believe I picked them to not even finish top 4. We were definitely down on them. I think you still picked them. But we're definitely down on them. And so, after that hot start, though, everybody's like, oh, see, look, they're up there having greatest start.
I had them in 5th.
Did you have them out of the top 4?
Because I think, which is also going to be a hilarious one, because I had Chelsea and Arsenal, I think I had City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal was my top 4,
yeah, me too.
think. But
I know that
they were right there. I remember the discussion being Manchester is right there with Tottenham and Arsenal, and Chelsea being closer to Liverpool. And it has been found that Chelsea wants nothing to do with that title challenge, and it's battling it out for that top 4 spot with these guys.
Yeah, so I think when it's all said and done, this is the law of averages in a way. Like, it just kind of brought them back down. The past few games, it brought them down to where kind of I thought they were. They're more on par with a United, Arsenal, Chelsea. As far as that top 4 battle, they were running away with that slot. Now they're back in it, and I think that's where it should be.
Slow down at some point if you don't have a certain amount of depth we talked about at the beginning of the season. And they made it through a lot, but in doing so, it looks like this team has kind of run out of gas at the wrong time, and especially the defenders have been playing all fucking season.
They still look like a pretty deep team on paper. How much of this? They had a lot of injuries this year, though.
How much of them,
coming
if
off
you
the
take
World
them
Cup?
outside of the system, do you think are world class players?
Oh yeah, no. That is the difference.
You know what I'm saying? So you can sneak them in, but all of a sudden, later in the season, you have games where 3-4 guys that wouldn't be on other big teams are starting, and that's when you notice it. It's very subtle, but it's a huge difference. Like Daddy Rose.
So we'll talk a little bit more about Poch in our forward section, because I think what's happened in Madrid is relevant to that discussion.
Absolutely.
But anyway, like I said, kind of like Inter Milan and kind of like what Dortmund's doing over there in Germany, man. They're dragging themselves back into...
One slight difference between Inter Milan, Dortmund, and this. This is more similar to the Dortmund, I would say. But Inter Milan, the solution might be firing the coach. The other 2 teams, that's not the solution.
No. Nope. All right. Who's your man of the match here?
I want to give it to James Ward Prowse.
For having
a beautiful name.
17
for the beautiful
syllables.
Yeah, for that beautiful free kick that he just did damage with.
It was a really nice free kick.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All right, man. We will move along then over to Spain, La Liga. And Valencia, as we have been mentioning, constantly on the creep here, and they played away to Girona and came away with a 3-2 victory in exciting fashion. A lot of goals. It's a lot of goals for Valencia.
A lot of goals for Valencia. A red card in this game for Valencia. And the victory, which was a last minute victory. It was a rare shootout. Usually you put 2 goals on Valencia, you go away with 3 points, especially at home. But Gonzalo Guedes starts off the scoring with a beauty from assisted by Rodrigo. Valencia's aerial, what do you call it, set pieces and aerial defense is terrible, like in this game.
Yeah,
and
they could use Mangala back.
They could. He was good for them. But Jonas Ramallo scores basically he gets kind of a free header to put it level. And then in the second half, Dani Parejo scores a nice goal to put them ahead early in the second half. You think they're going to take it away, but in the 83rd minute, Stuani pulls them back. 2-2.
On a penalty.
On a PK, yes.
Yeah, handball.
Yes, so it was this week there have been it seems like the handball rule has tightened a bit because a lot of if it even passes by your hand, you're getting handballs.
Getting it, yeah.
And then in the last minute of the game, Ferran Torres lightning quick counter attack from Jeffrey Kandabia pass rounds the keeper and scores to finish it off. Valencia rarely play this. This is why I wanted to talk about this game, is that their statistics are in line with their usual games. 40% possession, 11 total shots to 17 for Girona. But their shots, they don't fuck around. In the first half, they had 6 shots with 4 on target. At the same time, Girona had 6 shots with only 2 on target. So they're based on if they get the ball, Dani Parejo sees what he can do, passes to somebody, and you take the shot only if you see it. Whereas Girona has a kind of run at you, counter attacks, and miss a lot, So it showed that Valencia was the more mature of these two teams, and they pulled out a kind of a veteran victory on it.
Valencia has 8 wins and 15 draws, man. Only 4 losses. They sit barely out of the top 6, only by 1 point, and they're only 6 points off top 4. So they're creeping up there to have their say in that final spot, that final Champions League spot.
I'm liking the Valencia, Betis, Sevilla, all the way to Getafe, and a late derby between Sevilla and Betis is going to be fun because those two teams hate each other, and it has happened before where on the last game of the season, the winner has gone to the Champions League, the loser went to the Europa Cup. And
they play last game of the year?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And it was supposed to be Sevilla had I think it was 2004-2005 season. Sevilla had the better season all through. Betis' star striker was injured, and in the last game of the season, though, Betis beats Sevilla to get to the other way around. Sevilla beats Betis to take the Champions League spot, and about a year later, Betis gets relegated.
Ooh. Ouch. Man of the match here.
Man of the match here, I want to give it to Dani Parejo. He scored a nice goal for the second, and seems like every offensive move goes through him.
Dani Parejo, yeah, man. Always holding it down for Valencia. Mention him a lot here. And now we're going to move on over to something that we normally don't cover, which is League One games. But
let me hear you say League
But when you have Mario Balotelli getting a visit from his former original gun clapper Nice teammates, you got to cover it, man. Especially when Balotelli scores.
The OG versus OGC.
Yeet.
Balotelli scores. He scores a beautiful I want to call it a fadeaway header, because he was jumping backwards and hit the header, and actually looped it kind of over the goalkeeper too. But did you see the celebration?
No, I didn't. No, what do you do?
They played rock, paper, scissors.
Popcorn.
Him and Thavan sat down and played a good,
Nice.
exhilarating game of Rochambeau.
Nice. They now have 5 wins and a draw in their last 6 league games. That's major. They've crept back into the top 4.
They totally dominated this game. Like, if you look at how they came at them, and like they double total shots was 12-6, shots on target 6-1. They had 9 corner kicks to Nice's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like they out of all that, they only created 2 big chances. But I don't know how you have 2 big chances when you had 7 shots from inside their box.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they had more long balls, more crosses. Everything they did was more successful than the opponent. So,
well, what is Nice doing? I mean, they sold Balotelli. They were like, there was like a little bit of what do you want to call expectations around them last year, and then they
sold, what's his name too?
Wesley.
No,
Well,
no, nobody called Wesley. The
Schneider.
kid that was supposed to go to Barca, and now he's playing in Fulham in midfield. Seri.
Oh, yeah.
Jean-Michel, yes. John Michael.
Okay. Either way.
Like, I just it's Jean-Michel.
Jean
But either way, under Patrick Vieira, they're currently in 9th place, 7 points behind Marseille in 4th. They're having a decent season. Like, if you look at their team, they have Alain Saint-Maximin has been an up-and-comer for a little bit. He's good. But in this particular game, they didn't play a lot of the guys that they're known to. Like the guy that wears the Gucci headband, he is not in here. So
yeah, they got a lot of young players I'm looking at, and they also have Dante, oddly enough.
Dante, which means that you're always gonna have one big loss.
But they only have like 2 or 3 players that are above 30. Okay, yeah. Like I said, though, that moves Marseille back in comfortably, well, so-called comfortably, into top 4. But in France, that doesn't mean anything because you need to make top 3 to make Champions League. They are 3 points out off of Lyon for that.
Yeah, and they'll take that how their season had started to be 3 points behind Lyon. But I would say that, and we'll get into it later, but Lille should be very, very happy with their season. They're 7 points ahead of Lyon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And your man of the match. All right, Beavis.
Mario Balotelli. Who the fuck else? Scored the winning goal in a 1-0 game against his old team. They played rock, paper, scissors.
He said ball.
Yeah.
Ball. Balotelli.
Romantic, fantastic, bombastic.
Oh, shit. All right, moving along. Serie A. Sampdoria hosting Atalanta. Battle of mid-table teams, but mid-table teams that are very close to European spots here. Let's talk about it, Sir Solomon.
Atalanta has been doing really good this season, and they're in 7th place. Ahead of Lazio, behind Torino, but Papu Gomez and Duvan Zapata have been running the offense. Duvan Zapata is the striker, and Papu is the number 10. And they were playing against Sampdoria, and our favorite striker, the timeless 37-year-old Mr. Fabio Quagliarella.
Yeah. Who did score in this game.
Who scored in this game to be the first player in the Italian league to actually reach 20 goals in the league for the season. One ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo, who was rested so that they could make a comeback later. And he does his thing, he scores, but Atalanta come away with the victory. And they actually started Ilicic, like I said, crosses out to Duvan Zapata. He scores, starts off at a 1-0. Quaglianera just scores a PK to tie it. And then a man called Robin Gosses scores the 77th winner. And Atalanta is now positioned very well. Like, they're in a 3-way tie with Roma and Torino for the spots right out of the Champions League qualification places.
Yep.
And for a team of this size, making Europe would be good because they have veteran guys and a lot of guys that won't be sold. Like, they have a good team, but not a lot of blue chip players, so they would actually be able to contend in the Europa. So if they keep at it, I think this would be a good team to make it. Roma, we don't know what the fuck is going on there. Maybe we'll get into them during the next one.
Yep. Atalanta, 56 goals. There's only one team in the league who has scored more than them, and that is Juventus. So definitely...
They had those few games where they were hitting up like 6s and
5 or
5s.
6, yeah, for sure. But they've given up 38 goals, which explains their place in the table. But they are definitely still in play for Europa, as you said. Long shot for Champions League, but you never know with the way Inter and what Roma are doing.
Yeah, 6 points out of a Champions League spot, but I don't think that they have the depth or really the interest of being a Champions League spot.
I believe they're in Coppa d'Italia semifinals as well.
Yeah, didn't they knock out Inter?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man of the match here.
I'm going to give it to Duvan.
Zapata.
Duvan shoes.
All right. No doubt. Well, that's our back four, man. I'm going to go ahead and link up with the midfield.
What was this? What was this? It was really. What was this? What was this? It was really good.
Yeah. All right. EPO review. Like I said, getting down to the nitty gritty. There's only 8 games left in Premier League season for most of the teams. I think everybody, actually it'll be next week that everybody, well, Chelsea has 9 left.
Yes.
And Brighton.
That means that, yes, I was going to say that means that another team has 9 left.
Yep. All right. So, hit you off in the chronological order of things that happened. In Crystal Palace at home to Brighton Hove. Surprisingly taking an L here. Wonderful goal in this game, too.
Wonderful goal in this game, yes. But Crystal Palace are on a good little run, and Brighton are desperate for points, even though they're doing really good, and it looked like they were going after it more. Crystal Palace tried a lot through the Zaha Michi Batshuayi combination, but this is one of those games where Michi was very much more frustrating, you know.
Bishuashi, yeah, they definitely dominated the ball, definitely dominated shots, but Brighton a little bit more clinical here, man. It is what it is.
Yeah, man, the no-look dunk, basically, that the dude did, where he just turned around and just ran across the penalty box and hit it off the post.
Another relegation threat, well, a relegation threatened team here. Cardiff come away with a huge 2-0 over West Ham. I actually picked this game.
I can see why you would. This is West Ham doesn't travel well. West Ham doesn't do results in a row.
Sure don't.
And this Cardiff, if they survive, like that, ever since which is very, very sad to say, but ever since their striker had died in that thing, it seems like from an emotional perspective, like I guess you sometimes, you know how you realize things are bigger than they are, whatever. And they've been playing some good football and getting results. And it's very interesting to see because they are only 2 points out of safety. The other 2 teams, Huddersfield and Fulham,
well ingrained in in the relegation battle.
I think Fulham is 16 points out?
They're done, dude. It's over. No, Huddersfield is 16 points. Fulham is 13 points out. Cardiff. You know, when you watch Cardiff play, though, man, like they look better than a team that's that sad. They're just like they can't score, can't do shit in that final third.
Fulham is different because they look very good when they play against you too, except they can't defend.
They can't defend. They can't
So
defend at all,
and like their strikers and stuff, like they score, but they need a lot of opportunities that do not come around a lot of times in the league.
And speaking of Fulham, they were away to Leicester City as Brendan Rodgers gets his first Leicester City victory with a 3-1 triumph over Fulham.
Yes,
Jamie Vardy.
Mr. Vardy has been having a party ever since the new manager. Nobody does new manager syndrome like Jamie Vardy does.
Sure doesn't, man. Speaking of relegation-bound Huddersfield, they were at home to Bournemouth, and they took a 2-0 loss. Nothing that surprising here.
Yeah, in fact, because Chelsea was playing against Wolves, actually it's not in fact, it's in fantasy. So my backup goalkeeper was Boruc from because he was playing against Huddersfield, Bournemouth's goalkeeper, and I knew for a fact that Huddersfield Huddersfield don't score.
Are Bournemouth bound to get rated this after a good season like what they're having?
I wouldn't say rated. They don't really have much to rate.
Ake, Brooks, Callum Wilson,
Ake maybe, but
Frazier.
Where like for Ake to go somewhere would have to be to the big clubs, and I don't think that he would play there. Ake is really good for a long time, periods of time, but he does have a lot of brain farts too.
Young kid, right? Like super young.
Not super young anymore.
24, not that young.
Yeah.
You are what you are, man.
That's what I mean. And for that, like if they stay
24.
up, they might be able to just hold on to him. His step up would be like maybe West Ham or Everton.
Well, they are sitting very nice in the standings right now. They are in 12th place. They are well clear of relegation. They are...
Teams like Brighton and Bournemouth and stuff with Jadon Sancho and Reece Southampton from Arsenal that go to Germany, and guys are going to Holland and stuff, and they're sort of doing that instead of going on loan locally. Nathan Ake wouldn't end up in Bournemouth. Jordan Ibe, people like that would go like and this system might really affect English football. Like, I don't know what this whole Brexit thing might have to say about that, but in terms of youth development, they're not developing their youth well enough, and the guys might find that going to Europe is better.
Well, we'll see if they actually pull off that Brexit. That's another discussion for another podcast. Newcastle hosting Everton. Pretty exciting game here. With some controversy. Newcastle 3-2. After being down 2-0.
Yes, that's they were down to Calvert-Lewis and I want to say Richarlison goals, and they came back. Mr. Jose Perez and Solomon Rondon got them the 3 points. I don't know if they've kind of played themselves in a corner with their manager, because they have a manager in place that is proven to be very unspectacular, that they went through hoops and all types of things to get in Mr. Silva. So I don't know what the move is, but if it was just some guy they had signed, they might get fired by now.
Yeah, after a nice little start for Everton, it's been up and down, and a lot of down.
And a lot of like embarrassing results.
Agreed.
Like a team like Newcastle does not score goals, and you can't be 2 up against them and not even get 1 point.
Ouch. Moving along. Champion Manchester City hosting Watford 3-1.
I'm just glad you didn't say champion elect.
Not yet. Came close. No, 3-1 over Watford. First goal, some controversy. The other 2, there was no debate.
The Raheem Sterling show.
Man, He's pretty official these days.
Yeah, fully paid and now fully playing.
It's like 18 goals, 11 assists or something crazy this season.
You're killing it, dude. And Pep knows how to, like, all those things that you think are annoying about Raheem Sterling playing football have kind of gone to the wayside. Like, he's a very professional, knows, like, well-instructed guy. And, yeah, he'll have one or two times where he does his weird control and can't stop the ball, but he's devastating under Pep.
Yeah. Beautiful thing to watch. Leroy Sané.
I wouldn't say beautiful. Like watching Sané is a beautiful experience. It's very irky-jerky to watch.
I mean, I'm not saying it like that, but like to see the dude, to see the kid where he was, to see him develop,
achieve his
absolutely
potential. Yeah.
Liverpool hosting Burnley. This almost could have went south for Liverpool.
There was a
down 1-0.
Yeah, down 1-0. Controversially, it was actually it was a foul on the goalkeeper on the goal, and it's weird because that's the first goal this in 2019. I think that he's or even this season that he's scored against Alisson from outside the box, and it took one, maybe two guys fouling him for it to happen. But Liverpool responded spectacularly. Bobby Firmino just managing to score from an offside position, but. You know,
yeah, Mane ball.
But the referees against Liverpool, you know, but they scored goals on all sides.
Yeah, you sure do, man. 4-2 Liverpool. Man, I was watching the end of that game.
Right of mine texted, I swear the whole world hates Liverpool when they got the goal scored. I was like, dude, I had to watch like 4 replays to see a foul. Like, shit happens, dude. And then it's like, oh, why are you silent now? Like, dude scored an offside goal.
Yeah, I didn't hear Klopp talking about the wind in this game. Moving along, Chelsea hosting Wolves. Chelsea with payback on their mind, but they did not get it. They barely snuck out of here with a point.
Barely snuck out of here with a point. Dude, watching Chelsea play football is a painful experience these days. It's very, very, very boring. He rested Hazard in the on the Thursday Europa League game. And then you bring him back, and there's not a lot of people for him to even play with. You have Willian on the other side. Pedro earlier on the other side. But, like, it doesn't matter if you rest him for 3 weeks. If you don't have people to play with.
The other players are the same, bruh.
Yeah, but, like, I have huge respect over the past couple of seasons for Eden Hazard, because even though everybody knew that was what's happening and they effectively marked him for long periods of time, he still managed to score a beautiful goal and get them at least a point. If he had teammates, they might have won this game. But in terms of like a good team, Wolves is playing like a good team. They're coming together perfectly. Nuno Espirito Santi has done an amazing job there.
I believe if one of the top 4 teams wins the FA Cup, they'll be in line for a Europa spot in 7th place. That would
be dope. They deserve it. They've played a lot of good football, and I just like them because they play European football.
I guess they're still in FA too. They could win it and go and get the slot. The big game of the weekend, which we did not cover in big games, we save for this section. Arsenal hosting Manchester United.
What
did you think about that game?
I thought that we'd be talking about it before I watched it, and it bored me half to fucking death. Both teams come out in a fucking 3-5-2, quote unquote, but Manchester United starts out with basically 7 defensive players, and Arsenal does 6.5 because Aaron Ramsey is kind of playing in midfield, and then they just stick 3 guys up front that are, like Ozil, Alexander Lacazette, and Aubameyang for them, and on the other side Pogba, Rashford, and Lukaku, and it's like pretends to be a very offensive team. You could tell that this game was going to be stodgy based on what they put out there, and I think for Ole, the Lukaku situation kind of painted him into a corner. I'll explain.
I thought Lukaku, and I know you're going to give me shit, but right, he didn't do the finishing that he doesn't do against top. He had a good game though. he was like a good player on the field. Like, he made some good hold up plays. His touch didn't.
But he's the target. What's he
No,
holding
no,
up?
I understand. No. I mean, the way they've been playing him, like he has some good link up play.
All right. So let me. This is my thing. Rashford was injured. He comes in. The system that they've been playing has been a one striker system. It's been very effective. And the thing is that Martial got hurt and Lingard got hurt at the same time. Martial is back in this game. But Rashford is back also. He scored the winner. Lukaku scored against PSG. Now, Lukaku, in the time that they were injured in the games against shit teams that they played in the league, balled the fuck out, earning himself a spot. Rashford is their starting striker. I don't think that they should both have played as starters. I'm not necessarily saying it should be Rashford, which I think it should, because I think that you playing him 60 minutes and then subbing him out for Lukaku would have allowed them to have more offensive creators on the ball. They're redundant. You gotta get both of them the ball.
Even with all the injuries that they have, like there wasn't. I'm looking at the lineup.
Martial could have come in because like he's more natural on the outside, and that leaves the space open for them a lot. Like you don't, as Arsenal, they're easier to defend when they have those two playing than they are when it's like Martial on the outside. But I guess that's how they play.
Like we were saying about Arsenal last week as well. Like you just don't know what the fuck you're gonna get. And he shows up this game. He plays both strikers, Ozil and Ramsey, which I liked.
I like
Niles. I thought
it,
Niles played good too.
Niles played good, but like again, it was 3-man with then again two defenders in midfield and then one holding midfielder. You could tell both teams just didn't want to lose it. And Xhaka scores from a shot that just happens, right?
Yeah.
And then they get a penalty.
Yep.
That's the game.
Yep.
Like there wasn't large periods of time of dominance by a team and this and that. And this is why it didn't qualify for our big games.
Yeah.
It didn't live up to what the game should have been.
Yep. Definitely, if Lukaku had, I mean, he had four big chances missed.
I mean, he had. Let's be fair to him. He hit the crossbar with a header. That you can't get any closer. That shit happens. Like that. That's like being a goal.
And there was a couple really good defensive plays on him as well.
Yes, but they also go in on those sliding tackles because they know it takes him half an hour to fucking control the ball. Like so, it goes into who he is. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like you do that against a guy like Mbappe, who'll have controlled it, put his foot in front of you, got a penalty, and be taking it before you even got up. You know what I'm saying?
Looks like Lukaku's been working on his touch a little bit, man. Hey, I'm just going by eye test. Whatever, like he looks better on the ball.
Let's say you support his team, or you're the coach of his team in a big game. Would you start Romelu Lukaku?
I mean, if I had other options, no.
Okay.
But I just didn't see lineup-wise like what else they were going to do. I don't know what they felt like Martial, how healthy he was, if he could start that game or whatever. Or maybe you start him and then sub him off later.
I would have tried it. It seems like in formation and in selection, they were beyond careful, like almost like little bitches.
What'd you think of Fred in this game?
He sucked.
He had a couple nice moments, and then he had some really sucky moments.
He was a fuck up, kind of, on both goals. He gave up the penalty, and I think he was marking Xhaka when he didn't track back properly on Xhaka when they got scored on. But you can't put anything on Fred because you can't sit a guy, not play him in a lot of games, and then have like 1 or 2 games, and then play him in one of the biggest games in the league. Like, to me, I would have. Nah, Andres Pereira has been playing some really, really good football lately in that midfield spot. He scored a goal too, and I would have played him in midfield over Fred and Anthony Martial up front over Lukaku. That would have been the things I would have done.
Well, Arsenal, either way it goes, take a huge 3 points here and move into fourth place.
Massive.
They are only a point behind Tottenham. They are 2 points above Manchester United, and they are 3 points above Chelsea, who have a game in hand. Man City sit top of the table by 1 point on Liverpool. As we mentioned, Tottenham now in that top four battle as opposed to being in the titled race.
If the three teams below them, I mean, if Manchester United and Arsenal both win their next games, like there's a real chance that Tottenham will jump out of third and into fifth.
Tottenham also have Liverpool and City.
Liverpool
both away
is
games.
their next league game.
Is it? Yeah, away games too. Ugh. No rest for the weary, man. All right, moving along. La Liga.
Tottenham is going to get at least a point from Liverpool.
Good.
You heard it here first.
Let's go, Tottenham. Moving along, La Liga. Big games. Atletico Madrid do what they've been doing, and they get a 1-0 over Leganes. Saul with the goal after missing a penalty.
Niquez got his own rebound.
And they sneak out all 3 points. Barcelona 3-1 over Rayo Vallecano.
Got a little sticky. Rayo Vallecano had a beautiful goal on a counter-attack. But Barca got the 3 points. And also everybody seems like they're back from injury, but Mr. Ousmane Dembele kind of pulled up at the end of the game. That might affect Champions League. How big of a difference Ousmane Dembele playing is for Barcelona surprises me every week. Like, him being there and not being there is a huge difference.
Yep.
And for a guy that, while he was injured and came back and stuff, was quickly dispelled as a joke in terms of like how much he cost, he is a huge part of this team.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And will be very sorely missed in the Champions League clash.
Oh, yeah.
I hope he's not out for a
especially
while.
since the guy that might play in his position is getting booed off. Coutinho got booed by home fans as he got taken off, yeah.
Well, hey, man, it sounds like a chance for redemption. Getafe hosting Huesca. They take all 3 points with a 2-1. Real Betis away to Vigo. They take all 3 points with a 1-0.
Very important result for both teams.
Villarreal.
Because Vigo gets down and Villarreal makes moves. Go ahead.
And they get the 2-0 over Levante, and they move out of relegation zone. It's been a minute since they've been out of the
Had
relegation
Sevilla
zone.
had Betis not gotten their result, they wouldn't be still within a point of Sevilla and 2 points of Alaves. Whereas Villarreal, dude, Santi Cazorla assisted on the second goal in this game, and we were laughing about how much talent they had for a team that might go down. A team with more talent than them might go down, actually. Celta Vigo.
Celta Vigo, yeah.
A lot of people, Barca included, are looking at a lot of Celta players.
Celta players, yeah.
If they get relegated, there's going to be a yard sale.
Whoops. Sevilla crush Sociedad at home 5-2. Man.
Wissam.
With a second half
Hat-trick. And then also Sociedad guy had a hat-trick too.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Figure it out.
Yada.
Figure it out. How does a guy...
Oh.
He scored 2 goals and
an own goal.
Yes.
Nice. Mikel Oyarzabal.
He scored the 5th goal for Sevilla.
And on the other side of Madrid, Real Madrid away to Real Valladolid, and they get a 4-1 after going into half 1-1.
Unplayable Karim Benzema. I think he had 6 tapes of all the opponents.
2 goals and an assist in the second half.
Yes.
Put it away. All 3 points for Madrid. Top 4 in
He's
La
gonna
Liga.
be, like, Eden Hazard and him are going to have so much fun together next year.
They're not going to sell Benzema?
Who?
I don't know. You're just either going to keep him until he's worth absolutely nothing or get a little money this year.
He's not. Like, if you have him, you keep him quietly. He's got, like, whole, like, court cases and shit going on. People are not going to be able to like get a little. What do you think? They're going to put him a shirt on him and he's going to dribble for you like Neymar signing? Nah, dude, he's 32. He's fucking up. Like he's
Just
fucked
playing.
up before. You just keep him and you just enjoy what he's doing right now.
So top 4 in La Liga is Barcelona, 7 points up on second place. Atletico Madrid, who are 5 points up on third place. Real Madrid, who are 6 points up on fourth place. Getafe, 5th and 6th are Alaves, Sevilla, followed by Valencia, Betis. That is your Europa battle right there. All right, moving
You
along.
sell Bale.
Uh,
You sell Bale.
Bale, oh, yeah, that's a definite.
Yeah, that's the one you sell. You keep one.
So, Serie A, Juventus start off the weekend with a 4-1 crushing of Udinese.
They arrested Ronaldo for the Champions League comeback against Atletico Madrid. He's like telling the fans had planned a protest during the game, had to be talked back and blah, blah, blah because of their performance against Atletico. And he's calming them down. And Ronaldo has been arrested. Moise Keane came on. Moise Keane.
Yeah.
And had a double and had some dance moves. And that boy gonna be nice.
Was he like 19 or something?
Yeah.
Young kid. All 3 points for undefeated Juventus. AC Milan get the 2-1 over
Boom,
Chievo
boom, boom,
Verona.
boom,
Boom. RoboCop. Piatek
RoboCop.
again.
Yes.
It's the coldest celebration, dude.
Yeah,
They've been on a tear, on fire. 2-1. Milan get all 3 points. We already mentioned the Atalanta result. Torino, as you mentioned, they've been on a nice run. 2-1 over Frosinone. And Inter at home to Spal get all 3 points.
You got
2-0.
Politano.
And then Napoli away to Sassuolo take a draw.
Yep. They are doing what Spurs did a few weeks ago. Now they have a comfortable 6 points between them.
Yeah.
And the way Milan is playing right now, the only hope for Napoli is that Inter isn't really about it.
True that. Fiorentina hosting Lazio ends 1-1, and Roma play Napoli today. Roma fired their coach over the week after the Champions League exits. What's his name? Francesco?
Eusebio Di Francesco.
Gone, and they brought in
The biggest winner in the history of winning, Claudio Ranieri.
go from Fulham, job, to Fulham, to Roma.
To no job again.
So, already.
No, no job to Fulham, to no job to Roma.
To Roma.
And the sporting director was so in disagreement with the hiring of Claudio Ranieri, Mr. Monchi, the guy that finds all the people all over the world, the greatest scout among teams.
Yeah.
Quit.
Damn.
So now he might be going to Arsenal next season.
Monchi.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Say me Monchi. Say me Monchi.
Oh, man. So, Serie A sits as Juventus. Basically, it's over. It's been over. 18 points up on second place, Napoli. Milan are third place, 6 points behind Napoli, and they're 1 point up on Inter. And there is a derby coming up this week. Derby. 6 points out is Roma and Torino, all with 44. Word up. Moving along, hit you over to Deutschland, Bundesliga, Germany, where things are getting mad tight at the top.
It is squeaky bum time in Germany.
Werder Bremen smashed Schalke 4-2, though. I must mention that because they've been playing well.
And Schalke has not.
And they got Champions League coming up.
Their coach, who just last year was hailed as one of the most amazing people ever doing big things, might get canned.
It's tough out there. Top of the table, though, Borussia Dortmund at home to Stuttgart. And they had to pull this one out with the Christian Pulisic sub who came on.
Yeah, they were struggling throughout the whole game, and then Royce got a penalty, scored a penalty to put them ahead, and Stuttgart immediately responded, and the 1-1 looked like kind of fucked. Pulisic came on. He was dribbling in the penalty area. The ball fell away from him, and Paco had rocked this, scored it to make it
2-1.
And then Pulisic himself gets a goal to finish it off.
3-1 Dortmund. But it does not matter because Bayern München put it up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6 on Wolfsburg. Murder.
Yes.
So that puts them top of the table by goal difference.
Yeah, the robot, Jimmy, all of them scored. Jimmy Rod.
They are in fine form coming into this Liverpool match. We'll talk about that very shortly here. Leipzig, who have crept all the way up to third place with a 0-0 to Augsburg. Borussia Mönchengladbach away to Mainz. 1-0 victory. They needed to get back on that path. They were after their smashing last week by Bayern. And Hoffenheim with a 2-win over Nuremberg.
Oh, no number.
Leverkusen
Score my turn to me.
and Leverkusen with a 3-2 over Hanover. 87th minute goal by Kai Havertz gave them all 3 points. Fortuna play Frankfurt today. That's odd. A Monday match. That's right, because they protest those in Germany.
Oh yeah,
They hate Mondays. Fuck Mondays. Bayern top of the table with the same amount of points as Dortmund. There's a 2-goal difference there. That they are both 11 points up on third place. Leipzig, who are tied on points with Mönchengladbach, but have a holy shit.
They have a holy shit.
Why am I reading that wrong? It's 13, 14. Oh, 23 goal. Damn. Leipzig, stout defense, man. That's odd. 23 goal difference, and they have a 14. So they have a super goal, 11 goal difference. Fifth place Leverkusen, sixth place Frankfurt. Word up. Bundesliga. Moving along. Liga on. Last and always least. PSG game canceled for some reason. I don't know. Lyon with a 2-2 to Strasbourg. Fekir came on late in this game, I guess to stay in shape.
No, to try to get the victory. But just a little run out so that he's ready for the big game.
Monaco with a 1-1. They get a point here.
They've been doing that thing. They're above relegation by quite a few points.
Lille away to Saint Etienne get a 1-0, all 3 points, comfortably in second place, as Sir Solomon mentioned earlier. 2 red-carded Saint Etienne.
Damn, behave.
7 red cards in Ligue 1 this weekend.
Yeah, not a game out there.
Get it in. And Stade Rennes with a 3-1 over Caen, and we already mentioned Olympique Marseille. This league, as we mentioned, is pretty much over. 14-point lead for PSG with 2 games in hand. Lille comfortably second place, 7 points up on third place. Lyon, who are only 3 points up on Marseille. And then there's a little gap there, 4 points to Reims and Saint Etienne. Word up. That's our big league reviews. Now we're going to hit you off with the Champions League preview. So sorry to miss everybody last week regarding Champions League review. So, we'll just kind of mention those in passing. What happened last week was pretty major results in the way of Ajax defeating Real Madrid, Tottenham putting Dortmund away, and Manchester United pulling off the comeback with a controversial last-second penalty against PSG to advance, and Porto with a 3-1 over Roma. As we mentioned, that allowed Roma to fire their coach. And
we called that at the record show.
Haha. Ajax, the 4-1, though, man. They put it on fucking Madrid.
Oh, yeah, they're doing spin moves and shit like it was an N1 mixtape, dude.
Yeah, those
looked like some futsal on that bitch.
Yeah, for real. United, as we mentioned, the 3-1, the controversial the penalty. It's a handball they gave?
Yeah, but when the first 2 goals are a defensive fuck up and the goalkeeper fuck up, you can't wait and complain all day about like some referees quote unquote fuck up, which wasn't really.
Nope.
It was just harsh.
So, 4 games on the slate for Tuesday and Wednesday. Started off with Manchester City hosting Schalke. Do Schalke stand a chance here?
Schalke not looking to stand a chance. The coach came out and said that they're trying to play their second team in this game because they need their players for the league games. They're not trying to go do anything in the Champions League.
Okay, good. Let's.
The general manager, the sporting director, whatever guy, just quit recently due to. So it's saying that the new coach might stay. I mean, the coach might be staying.
City with a 3-2 lead in this. They have 3 away goals after a crazy first game, which they were down, actually. Looks good for their advancing. We shall see. Juventus hosting Atletico. Atletico with a 2-0 home victory in the first leg. How do you see this one?
After watching the Ajax and Manchester and Porto games, it's still there. 2-0, like, yeah, they should be very happy. I'd rather go into a second leg than up 2-0, but 2-0 has always historically actually been one of the most dangerous score lines to have too, you know, like a lot of comebacks have happened from it. And the other team does have Cristiano Ronaldo, but maybe this is the emotion in me. I'm saying I think that Atletico Madrid take it.
Yeah, they're going to shut shit down in this game, just try to stop Juventus from doing anything.
Yeah, they need to stay disciplined and not get any cards, though, because if you get sent off, then that's an issue.
Yep. Excitement there. And then Wednesday's games, Barcelona hosting Lyon, a 0-0 draw for the first game.
Lyon would be hoping to tighten up and get a goal at any point, but like their whole objective is to try to shut them down and hit them on the counter. And Barca has very recently been leaky on the counter, but their whole concentration this season has been on the Champions League, so we'll see how they do.
How big is the Dembele absence?
If he's going to be absent, I think it's a huge absence. But they can still make things work with Coutinho. I'd rather when he does play out up front than he does in the midfield because he can actually get out of the way whenever he's not on the ball. But I would just play Malcolm. He's a winger. Just put him in there. You know, but he doesn't rate him.
Yeah, I think even though Barcelona would be the favorite, they're at home. I think Lyon
very, very, very dangerous game.
Absolutely, because a 1-1 sees Lyon through. And the same deal here with Bayern Munich hosting Liverpool, a 0-0 draw for the first leg. Bayern coming into this on great form. Liverpool in up and down form.
Yeah, they don't look as good, but I would say at this point in the season I have more confidence in Liverpool's defense than Bayern's defense. But going forward, Bayern are looking much, much better than Liverpool have been. Very unpredictable game. It was going to take until you see actually the starting lineups to even get an idea.
Okay, yeah. Excited. Champions League. After this, it is like 3 weeks or something before semifinals. I believe that's like middle of April. All right, moving along on up to the forward section.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah. All right. So, as we were saying earlier, big news out of Madrid. We mentioned Madrid got their ass whooped in Champions League. Out. Peace. They lost 2 Clásicos. Peace. And now it's a rumor. It's confirmed.
So
What's going on?
They got bounced from the La Liga contention, from Copa del Rey, and the Champions League, all in the space of 1 week. It hasn't been announced, but it is rumored very, very strongly by multiple news outlets at this point that Mr. Zinedine Zidane is going to be taking over for Santiago Solari. Actually, not rumored. It is actually he has taken over from Santiago Solari. Tomorrow is actually a rest day for Real Madrid players. So starting Wednesday, he will be taking over training.
He must have got hella promises.
And buku dollars. Yes, of course he's got
Plenty
hella
dollars.
promises.
They're like, all right, we're going to sell Bale. We're going to sign Harry Kane.
Now the biggest question to me is
Eden Hazard.
I want to know what happens with James Rodriguez. This is a big mystery because Bayern Munich has not activated the buy option, and
Haven't barely been playing him. Well, not barely, but
I mean he's been playing
not a
lately.
regular.
But the guy doesn't believe in regulars. I don't think the manager. He's more about formations and shit.
I wonder what Gareth Bale said when he saw that news.
I don't know, but I know it's not going to be in Spanish.
How do you feel about this
The
appointment?
news came out
Reappointment.
after 11, so Gareth Bale was asleep.
I mean, he came back 10 months later. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? Or how many ever months? Like,
I don't know, but he made his value known in 10 months of being away.
yeah,
Like, he's coming in a much stronger position.
with a weaker team.
Yeah, every team that loses Ronaldo is a weaker team, dude. He scores 50 goals a season.
How else do you see this playing out? I mean, they go ham, they go ape shit in the transfer market.
Yeah.
4 or 5 major players.
I mean, they would have to. I think that Hazard gets up there.
Yeah, Hazard's definite.
So you get Hazard, you got Benzema as a striker with Hazard out there, and then like they'll get a midfielder. Like James might even get recalled, but like they're not that many moves away.
How many? No, hell no. They just won 3 fucking titles, man. They're defending champions. Any other players you can see? Any major players? What about any of the PSG boys? Neymar, Mbappe.
The Neymar situation, he might like they're huge rumors that they're going to be a big bid for him this summer. I don't know how it goes, but it would be a huge loss for PSG if they had Neymar for 2 years. They're not going to get 225 million for him.
You don't think? You don't think they're going to make their money back
No.
because of the injuries?
Injuries, age. When you buy somebody at 23 and when you buy somebody like 2 years later, whatever, it's different because you lose opportunities to sell him back and make the money. You know what I'm saying? Like when you buy earlier, it means that you'll have him for multiple contracts and then you can sell him and still make money. You project that into your purchase. But like once you're past 25 and stuff, that changes too. You're not gonna spend 225 mil on him because you know that you're not gonna make even a quarter of that.
How does that? Is the same thing apply to Hazard? He's 27. He's
Yes,
about to
but
be
I
28.
think both of them could make about 100 million on the transfer market. I think that you could get Neymar maybe for 150 million, but that would still be a 200 million loss. I mean 100 million loss.
I don't think they'll sell him at that number.
And that's why I think it's complex, is because I think to save face, PSG wants to make back their money, and they have FFP over them anyway, so they can't take
So
a big
do you
loss.
think they would sell Mbappe?
I don't think they want to sell anybody, and I don't think that Mbappe is pressed to leave.
I wonder about
I think that they run it back.
Yeah, I can see it. At least one more year. So if that's the case then, and they're still trying to splash, what about about Harold
Harold, what?
Kane?
No.
No? Anybody else? I mean, they're not just going to sign
It's not
Hazard.
like they're not like his style of play and stuff is not for Spain. Like it's just not, you know. It's a lot of 1-2s, a lot of play on the floor. Like it's more dribbly, you know what I'm saying? And I don't see him leaving his situation. I don't think they necessarily want him, but I don't think Harry Kane wants to go to fucking Real Madrid either. Like he's in a perfect situation, and if he switches, like I could see it being within England maybe, but like I think that Harry Kane stays at Tottenham, dude.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome back, Zizou. I hope you are way less successful than before. Award section. Dude of the week goes to
Sterling.
the Dream with a hat trick.
Yes, indeed. And
goals
the
in
only
the
3
Towers.
goals. It's not like he had a hat trick in a 5-goal game. Big up yourself, Penny Eder. But he had it in a 3-goal scored game. So
The last one was extra nice.
yes, I.
Goal of the week goes to
Christian Eichner of I want to say Hoffenheim. Scored a stunner, the number one stunner
Like
from
50 yards or something.
about a couple of steps into the half.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, and it hit top of the corner like the only spot that the
goalkeeper did the perfect dive, and like he just couldn't get there.
Couldn't
It
get
was
there.
a
Man.
rocket.
Fucking yeah. Twat happened moment of the week, man. There's a couple of these, but one stood out.
In the English Championship, Mr. Jack Grealish playing for Aston Villa versus their city rivals.
Burlington or something? What is it? Arlington? Motherfucker?
All right. This is the second biggest city in England is actually Birmingham.
Well, Birmingham.
Yes, it's London, then Birmingham. It's a much bigger city than Manchester, much bigger city than Liverpool. And
I can't tell.
I'm just telling you. And now you know. Anyways, this is the Birmingham Derby, which is Aston Villa versus Birmingham City Football Club. And during this game, a Birmingham City fan jumped into the field and sucker donkey punched. Is there such a thing?
I can't believe they didn't mob. I can't believe they didn't mop his motherfucking ass. The players.
I don't look like they like Jack Grealish that much.
I mean,
They were not too pressed that Jack Grealish got fucked up.
out there looking like Theon Greyjoy, son. Come on.
And then, no. But then, to top, like after this happens, the guy gets arrested. Back to football. Jack Grealish goes on to score the winner in this game.
Yep, and a 1-0.
Jumps into the fans, celebrates with the fans, and as the stewards are pulling Jack Grealish off, you see one of the old ass stewards kicking the shit out of Jack Grealish. He got caught on camera. He was not happy.
Yeah, it gets nasty in Championship. What type of couple things here? Ramifications of this behavior as somebody also ran on the field in the Arsenal-Manchester United game, and what do you think they should do to
I think that
stop these
Birmingham
things?
City should play behind closed doors and be docked points for such a thing, because not that I necessarily think that the club had anything to do with it, but if you don't do that, then it's not. That's the only language that these people understand, is their club suffering. So you have to
gotta
like,
take
not
points.
not like some $30,000 fine or something and
Take
an
points.
apology. You got to take a point, and you got to close either a partial or complete closure of their stadium to outside to fans, and then the club starts suffering. They'll think twice. Other teams won't do this shit.
Yep. Crazy. I've never actually seen that in a football game. I've seen it in an NBA game, but
Nah, you've seen it in the NBA stands. You've never seen it in the football,
game,
like
yeah.
where somebody ran into the actual field.
nah, they ain't do it like that.
Throw some shit.
And be like, I didn't do it. Yeah, man, twat happened. Upcoming games next week. Interesting in La Liga, Valencia hosting Getafe and Betis hosting Barca.
Yeah, Betis Barca.
And as far as the other leagues, we have PSG Marseille. Let's go Balotelli. And then AC.
Mario
Inter-
Balotelli this week said, PSG are not a very good team. They have very good players. There is a difference. I agree, Mario. Please score.
And then AC, and the battle of former Balotelli teams, AC Milan hosting Inter. Huge match.
Yes, because Balotelli used to go to Inter Milan wearing his AC Milan replica jersey all the time.
God, he's such a button pusher, man.
He gives zero fucks. Even when he's talking about Nice and stuff, he's like, yeah, my first couple of years there were nice, but then it ended badly. But everybody knows that it's Marseille is the shit here. Like, he's like, not in any way apologetic about it. He's like, fuck this. He celebrated the shit out of scoring against them.
Hilarious. Any thoughts on that game, AC Inter? Who you got?
I really want to, and I also think is the better team right now is AC Milan. I want them to steamroll them. I want boom, 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 boom to get a hat trick. And
you want Will.i.am to get a or is that Fergie? Boom, boom, boom.
But one of the most unlikable teams, this Inter team. And on the other side, with Paqueta, with Piatek. One of the very underrated teams in Milan. So I really hope that they just use it as their opportunity to show the Milan Revolution arriving and just steamroll the bitches.
No doubt. All right, so that's that. Matches in the books. Diving for Glory, Season 2, Episode 29. As always, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate anyone who takes the time to check us out. Don't forget, Diving for Glory posts every Monday and every Thursday during Champions League week, so look for us this week. We are not playing behind closed doors this week. No points have been docked, but you can check us on iTunes, YouTube, and divingforglory.com. Hit subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Diving for Glory. Rate us on iTunes. And until next week, man, until Thursday, until next week, whatever one you listen to. Corciola, Solomon.
We out.
Match.
Diving.
What do you think of condoms?
There's nothing more to say.
Diving. Glory.